Okay, good evening. I want to thank KX for organizing all this and letting me speak. And my name is Phineas Porter. I work for Jump Trading. None of the views in this presentation are theirs. They're all my own, so I have to say that. Okay, so today I'm presenting on vector thinking for max profit. This is solving 4 variations of the best time and to buy and sell leak code questions. So these are sort of like variations on a theme. They're quite familiar to a lot of people here probably. The goal is to buy and sell. You're given a list of prices and you're going to buy and sell the stock, and you want to know what the max profit you can make by doing this. And we have variation 1, which is 1 transaction, variation 2, which is unlimited transaction, variation 3 is 2 transactions, and then k transactions. So just to remind people of the setup, we're given a list of prices and we're going to find the max profit. And there's 2 constraints. The first constraint is you have to buy before you sell, and the second constraint is that you can never hold more than 1 unit of the security. And so if those familiar in Q for Mortals, Jeff Borer just kind of offhand solves the problem in a Q SQL statement. He says, select max px minus mins px from trades where sim is equal to Apple. This is the best trade you could have made in Apple. And then he says, gives you a hint, says in case it's not obvious why this solves the problem, here are 2 hints. Hint number 1, take the perspective looking back from the potential optimum sell, so look from the past. And number 2, the buy must have been at the lowest price possible at a local minimum. If not, you could have went back in time and bought a lower price and made more profit. These 2 hints are correspond to the kind of the classics in dynamic programming. One is that you have optimal substructure, so in other words, the problem decomposes into smaller problems that you know how to solve. And 2, they're overlapping, so you can reuse those little solutions to make up and solve the big problem. And classically, these 2 correspond to the 2 techniques of dynamic programming, which is recursion and memoization. So recursion, I'm going to recur and make smaller and smaller problems. Memoization, I'm going to somehow memorize these results and then reuse them to make up the big solution. But of course, we can do better, and we're Q programmers, so we can use scan and over iterators to go and solve this bottom up and find the shortest computation, which is always going to be more elegant and more performant. So task number 1, just to look a little bit more closely at the 1 transaction version, why this works. Where P is always going to be prices, we're going to take the minimums, the cumulative minimums of P, we're going to subtract the current price P minus the cumulative minimum, we're going to take the max, and just a little bit of an example vector that we're going to be using for the rest of the talk. So this is sort of just like a random example of prices. And look at little prefixes of the problem to kind of get a sense of what's going on. So if you have just 1 price, you can't really do much because you have to buy and sell at the same price, so that's going to give you a profit of 0. If the next price is 2, you can't do better because you have to buy before you sell, so you buy at 3 and then you sell at 2, that's -1 profit, you might as well do nothing. 3, 2, 5, now you can make profit because you can buy at 3 and sell at 5, or you can buy at 2 and sell at 5. Either way, you prefer to buy at 2 and then sell at 5, so that gives you 3. Adding 1 doesn't help you. And then adding 3, again, doesn't really help you. Your best choice is to buy at 2 and sell at 5. Then adding a 2 doesn't help you. It keeps going, doesn't really help you to buy. But we have now 2 ways of making 3 units of profit. One is we can buy at 2, sell at 5, or we can buy at 1 and sell at 4. Either way, we're making 3, but we don't really care one way or another. We're just interested in the max profit overall. So the next one is we get a 9. Now suddenly we can do better because we could buy at 1 and sell at 9. So plainly that's the optimum. So from here we kind of get to, if we kind of notice the pattern, we can go and jump to the end, and we see that the best solution for this example is 11, where we can buy at 1 and sell at 12. To get a sense of what's going on under the hood of this, to decompose this a little bit, we can see that the first row is the prices. And I'm using this PyKX magic to do all the Q, so this is actually a Python notebook. But first row is the prices, the second is the cumulative minimums, so the running minimum as you go down the prices. You can see that it goes 3, 2, then the best is 2, and then it goes 1 till the end. And then the next is the first row minus the second row, which gives us 3 minus 3 is 0, 2 minus 2 is 0, 5 minus 2 is 3, so that gives you that first optimal thing that we all saw. And then later as you go down, you see the number 11 pop up, so that's the best price is when you buy it, you sell at 12 and buy at 1. And you'll see that in the last row, that just keeps track of the best you've seen so far. So it'll just be 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, then it'll be suddenly 8, and then it'll be 8 until it hits 11, and it's 11 all the way to the end. And we can implement this in Python. It's a little bit more verbose because you have to import the iterators that you kind of just have available at hand in Q, and you have to import subtraction because you can't just use the minus sign because it's Python. I'm going to skip, in the interest of time, cases 2 and 3, but the slides are going to be available after the talk, so you can feel free to. I'm sure KX will post them, so they'll be available. So I'm just going to jump to the last version of the problem, which is, I'm going to say, both the hardest and the most interesting. OK, so let's tackle the K transactions case. So to quote kind of Eric Demain, who's the MIT 606 programming, dynamic programming is recursion plus memoization, so we already know that. So let's set up the problem. We have K transactions, and we're going to have 3 pieces of state. We're going to have the index that we're currently working at, K, the number of transactions we have left to go, and H, if we're holding or we're not holding a security. So if we start with the base case, so if we have no transactions left, if K equals 0, well, we're going to return 0. We can't do anything. We're not allowed to trade, so we're going to return 0. If I is greater than the last index, well, there's no more prices left, so we're also nothing to do, so we're going to return 0. Otherwise, we only can do one of 2 things. We can do nothing at the current step, so we're just going to return the function with increment I, or we can do something. But if we can do something, we can do one of 2 things. If we're holding the security, we have to sell, because we're not allowed to hold more than 1 unit. So if we sell, we're going to add the current price and the result of calling the function with with 1 less transaction and I incremented. Or if we don't hold the security, if we're not holding the security, well, we should buy at this step. So we're going to buy, and we're going to subtract the current price. It's just, no, we're going to spend the money to buy at this current price. And we're going to add the result of calling this function with I incremented, and we're left holding a share. So here's the Q version of that exact statement. We're going to have a cache, which is going to be memoizing all of our results. So 0b is the variable for holding. Are we holding the security? 0 is that we're K is 0 equal to 0. So we're pre-populating that whenever the number of transactions left is 0, we're going to return 0. And then till count p is the length of the prices. And we can run this for 0, 1, 2, for all the different values of K, and we'll get different results. But we can also reorganize this a little bit so that we can kind of get a glimmer into how to do the bottom-up approach. And to do that, we have to reorganize a little bit our prices to think about it in the opposite direction. So same exact idea, I, K, but whether or not we've sold. So we just think about it backwards in time. And that's using the insight that Jeff Bohr kind of gave about think about it from the perspective of having already sold it. So again, if K equals 0, we're going to return 0. But if I is 0 this time, in other words, we're working backwards into the array to the original one, then if we've already sold the share, we have to buy it back and return negative the first price. Otherwise, we can just return 0. So that's all it's saying is that if you've already sold it and you're still holding the share, you got to sell it before you leave the problem. You can't just get away with selling and never having bought it. You have to cover your short effectively. And the same thing, the rest of this slide is the same. So if we have the solution to the max of 2 options, we can either do nothing, which is just the same function but decrementing I. So again, we're just working backwards through the array. Or do something. If we sold a share, we have to buy it. Or otherwise, if we haven't sold a share, then we would want to sell right now. So here's that code, same thing. And again, we get the same answer. But what's more interesting is, can we kind of zoom in and see if we can do better? So let's look at the intermediate results of the cache. And this is, I think, the most interesting piece. If you look, the first row is the prices, but the rows represent the K transactions. And what you can see is, so for the 0 case, that's sort of the trivial case, you can do no transactions, you're always going to return 0. You can't do any better. The first row is going to correspond to the first problem we saw, which is 1 transaction. You can see the pattern of 3 8s and then an 11. But the second row is 2 transactions. You can see that in the first case, in the first time you see a 3, it's the same as the previous row. Then it's going to be 3, 3, and then it's going to be 5. Well, we can see what's going on. 2, what you can do is you can first make profit by going and selling to 5, and then you can also make you can make 1 unit of profit by selling from 2 to 5, which gives you 3 units. But then you can also make a profit by selling from buying at 1 and selling at 3, so that gives you 2 more units. So that your total best so far is 5. So you can kind of see what's going on is we're building this matrix from top left to bottom right. So it's filling in this way. So if we actually take this insight, in other words, we're taking the current so far and then subtracting the price, we can translate this into the following, which is that you take the maxes of P plus the maxes of the current amount of profit you've already made minus the prices. So you can just think of it, the C variable as that like current state variable that's telling you how much you already had of profit so far, and then subtract P and do one more transaction. So if we do it that way, all of that code before that was like 6 lines of recursion becomes just this one line. But if we look a little bit closer at this function, kind of zoom into it, we can notice something interesting, which is that max's C minus P is just the same as P minus C. And to prove this to yourself, just think about the fact that when you multiply by -1, greater than becomes less than, and mins and maxes are actually just the equivalent. So you can, if you just swip that around, you can see that it becomes the original mins P, which should be familiar because the first problem we ever did was max's P minus mins P. So all we've done now is just said subtract C, and in the general case, the first transaction case, C is always 0. So P minus 0 is the same as just P, so that's why you can leave that out. But if we want to keep that current state variable so we can iterate and do K transactions, so every additional, we can just say mins P minus, and just leave that, omit the last variable, and then that'll be a function. And then we can write the kth solution as this really elegant thing. So we have the price as P, lowercase p, but then we have capital P, which is just max's P minus mins P minus, and that's just going to wait for how much reward have you gone so far. So the one transaction case is easy, you just do P of 0. The two transaction case is just call P twice on 0, and then the K transaction case is P of do K transactions, so just run run P K times, and if you want to do the unlimited case, just converge until over 0. So that gives you all the solutions with one thing. And if we want to be really cheeky, we can solve the whole thing in 5 characters and just do P scan 0, which gives you all the intermediate results as well. So that's the first case is you earn 0 profit, then you earn 1, then the 2 transaction case and it converges at 5 for this example. But in general, it could converge after n some K over 2 transactions, n over 2, like the number of prices. You need pairs of prices to sell, so there can never be more than K, or like n over 2. But that's the end of my talk. Any questions?